stadium holds 57,354 souls when it's sold out for a concert. And on June 26th, 1993, my girlfriend Angie and I were two of them. We were going to a Dead show. East Coast Stadium tour, the pinnacle of the Dead in the early 90s. Now, I call it a show rather than a concert because it's a show. You're there all day for hours, doing much more than just listening to music. It starts with the parking lot scene. You show up a couple hours early, you take in the crafts, the food, there's a melange of smells, there's a cacophony of sounds, and there's great people watching. There's amped up yuppies and whacked out hippies and everything in between. There's a lot of weirdos. You're probably one of them. And there's a rule to a show, which is you just kind of let everything be. There's going to be a lot of things you haven't seen before. There's literally whirling dervishes in the hallways. They don't even watch the show. They just whirl. And yes, there are psychedelics available. After all, as Hershey said in their famous Almond Joy commercial, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. The Grateful Dead probably said it best. They summed it up with a lyric: one watch by night, one watch by day. If you get confused, just listen to the music play. So Angie and I were in the parking lot for a few hours taking in the scene. She had a couple beers. It's Washington, D.C. in the summer. It's hot as blazes. We're sweating. It's humid. It's a swamp. We make our way into RFK, and we set up in the prime spot. 40-yard line, dead center, looking at the stage. I'm there to see the opening band, and the opening band is, Sting. In the 90s, the Dead were so big that Sting was the opener. Police, lead singer, Grammy Award-winning artist. And Angie took in a couple more beers, and I hung out and got settled into the scene, and we were ready to go. So it's 7:45 when the sun was going down and the lights were coming up. Illuminated before me were 50-foot tapestries of dancing bears and beaming in live footage of the band. The Dead started up. They have an improvisational style, if you're not familiar with it, which means that they can play for 20 minutes at a time. For Deadheads and Jam fans, well, it's the ultimate. And for people that don't like improv music, it's a total nightmare. It goes on for 20 minutes. For me, it was fantastic. So I did what any good Deadhead would do. Followed the river of sound and got into my hippie dance and started to lose myself in the music, and I was so happy. 10 minutes in, I looked over to Angie, and Angie wasn't there. Well, she was there, she just wasn't there. She was there, on the ground, unconscious. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, at that point in time, 30 years ago, my directive in life went from follow your whimsical river of musical sound to get drunken girlfriends safely off of the field. I was 145 pounds, dripping wet. I am not that much bigger now. I did not know how to fireman carry, and I still do not, and even if I did, there was no room. So if Angie was getting from there off the field, it was on her own 2 feet with my assistance. So I made some friends. Luckily, Everybody at the Dead Show is super friendly. So I made friends and they gave me water, and it might have had a lot of backwash in it, but it was still water. And I got some on Angie's face, and I got some into her body, and we got her up. And I said thank you to everybody, and we proceeded one step at a time to make our way. And we made it about 20 feet. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you walked 20 feet right now, it'd probably take you 6 seconds. However, if you are surrounded by 15,000 very stoned individuals with no aisleways and no light and a very drunk person on your shoulder, it takes a really long time. If you happen to have smoked a joint an hour ago, it takes even longer. After about 20 feet, Angie passed out again. Yes, it's true. Down on the ground. So I quickly made friends again. Hello, thank you, yes, water on the face, in the mouth, back up. Hobbling back. By my calculations, it's about 100 feet to get to the edge. And she passed out 2 more times. We repeated this process. But I did get her safely off of the field, and I'm happy to say we did not even have to visit the EMT tent that evening. No, we watched the second set from the reserved upper deck, and I got her home safely, none the worse for the wear. Now, her mother was none too pleased when she heard the story, which did not come from me, by the way. But all's well that ends well. Now, I learned an important lesson that night. Well, I learned a whole lot of important lessons that night. But there are 3 things that really stuck with me. If you're gonna take a journey of any kind, bring a comfortable pair of walking shoes and an extra bottle of water. 2, bring a friend, preferably a reliable, not drunk one. And 3, keep a big smile on your face, because life's a long, strange trip, and you're gonna need a lot of friends. Madam Toastmaster.